Hello and welcome to the Freedom Zone, where the truth is set free whether you like it or not. I'm your host Candace, and I'm here today to talk to you about a few things you may or may not have paid attention to. Although the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is extremely disturbing. Most of us try to get along with people that come through our lives. Some you don't really care for, you smile, you pass, repass. This is normal behavior. If I had to count all the people that I've worked with or that I've known that I just didn't really care for, but I've smiled and been nice, it would number in the, I don't know how high it'd go. However, Jennifer Rubin of the a conservative blogger for, I believe it's WAPO, has reason to believe that all of us who believe in truth, justice, and the American way, along with our Judeo-Christian values, should be shunned, and the GOP should be burned down and destroyed. She advocates for no survivors, that means none of us, of the Trump-era voters or the GOP, because if any of us survive, we'll do it again, meaning we will elect Trump again, which is, the best thing we've done in a long, long, long time. But the thing about her is that she says, and I quote, she said that Trump must lose in 2020 because he's just, so horrible, that anyone supporting him should be publicly shunned, and that the GOP should essentially burn down to the ground and not leave survivors. It's not only Trump that has to lose, but all of his enablers, that's me, that's you, we're enablers, have to lose, she said. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican Party. We have to level them, because if there are survivors, if any of us survive, if there are people who weather the storm, they will do it again. Rubin said if Republicans are victorious next November, they will see it as an affirmation of their beliefs. Yes, when you go out and you support a cause, generally it's an affirmation of your beliefs. And only become further emboldened. That means we're going to get really bold if we win again, to push their radical views on society. They will take an election win as a confirmation that, quote, hey, it just pays to ride the waves. Look at me, I made it through. Pays to ride the waves. That's really funny, because you know what? We put up with 8 years of Barack Hussein Obama, who partied and spent money having a great time at our expense, while none of us could afford to take a vacation or sometimes pay your mortgage or your bills on time because there was no jobs, because everything was bust. It was totally bust. And the thing is, that's a sad feeling when you want to work, when you've got work that you want to do, you've got a career that you studied for so that you could take care of yourself and your family, and you cannot work and you cannot meet your obligations because there's no work, and without work there's no pay. Now, with Trump's economy, a lot of people are working and a lot of people are doing well. As I've said in a previous show, this past July I have not seen the amount of people in I live in a tourist town and with a lake, and I have not seen that kind of people coming in to camp, to stay in the motel, to use the waterways in about 10 years or more. It was just jammed. And that's great, because that's what that town lives off of, because it's a very small town. There's not a lot of industry, if any. There's a couple places around, but not much. And we need that revenue to come into the town in order for people to survive as far as businesses. The thing that really upsets me with this Jennifer Rubin, she is a quote-unquote conservative blogger. Okay, no, she's not. That's just a vicious rumor started by someone, because she certainly is not conservative. But if you think about the things that she says, she reminds me of someone who has been in the government, or I guess the military would be considered the government, a long time ago. The person that she reminds me of is William Tecumseh Sherman, who you may know believed in a scorched earth policy during the Civil War and the war with the Indians. Here are a few his quotes about Indians. The only good Indian is a dead Indian. The more Indians we can kill, the less we will have to kill the next war. For the more I see of these Indians, the more I am convinced that they all have to be killed or be maintained as a species of paupers. We must act with vindictive earnestness against the Sioux, even to their extermination. Men, women, children, during an assault, the soldiers cannot pause to distinguish between male and female or even discriminate as to age. Well, that's nice. Not. People like Jennifer Rubin, she and others, all these liberals, the first thing they come out of their mouth is racist and Nazi. And they're the ones that want to exterminate all of us conservatives, yet we're racist and Nazi, which makes absolutely no sense, because how can we be that if you're that? I haven't heard President Trump or any other conservative advocating for the annihilation of Democrats or liberals or Antifa, even though Antifa is a terrorist organization. But I've heard no one say we need a scorched earth policy, we got to burn them down, we got to get rid of them, we got to make sure they're good and dead so they can't come back and bother us. That's not normal. That's mental illness is what that is. The problem I think we have in this country is our media. The media is our public enemy number one. I don't think that's a new problem. William Hearst, with his yellow journalism, did a lot of things for starting the First World War, the Spanish-American War. He was really, show me the pictures and I'll show you the war kind of thing. So it's not like that's new. In fact, going back to quote General Sherman, who, I don't have any good use for, because I know that he was effective as a general in that he ruined the economy and the food sources of the South during the Civil War and during the Indian Wars. But I don't advocate his policies. But if he had trouble with the press too, and you might think, well, that's justified because he was pretty horrible. But it's not a new thing, so I wanted to read you a couple more quotes he had about the press. Quote, "If I had my choice, I would kill every reporter in the world. But I'm sure we would be getting reports from hell before breakfast." So he's another one that wants to kill Indians, kill reporters, knock everybody out. And I don't know what would be left, but whatever it was, maybe it would suit him. I doubt it. Another one is, "I hate newspapermen. They come into camp and pick up their camp rumors and print them as facts. I regard them as spies, which in truth they are." And the last quote that I'll grace you with today by William Sherman is, "I think I understand what military fame is. To be killed on the field of battle and have your name misspelled in the newspapers." So obviously he did not have a very good rapport with reporters either. I had always thought it was very noble. Of course, I grew up watching some shows about reporters that were, out for the truth, and they wouldn't give up their sources. One of my favorites, even though it's kind of silly now that I watch it, was The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin, where he would go after these paranormal or kind of weird things that came along, and he would, hit hard till he got the truth, and the cops were always mad at him because he was poking around and getting into stuff. I thought that's what journalism was when I was a younger child, younger person. Unfortunately now, I guess it's just posturing for position and repeating whatever you hear. Maybe it's like if you had a group of parrots on a perch, and one of them says, "I want a cracker," then everybody would say, "Oh, I want a cracker too, I want a cracker too, I want a cracker too, I want a cracker." I mean, it'd be like 35 times in an hour that someone would say, "I want a cracker." So I think that's what the press has come down to. Maybe about 24 parrots on a perch. One of them is the lead parrot, and then the rest go blah 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 blah, cracker cracker cracker, right behind them. So I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. But it's a shame and a scandal that someone would come up with something so disturbing as to suggest that you would wipe out a whole group of people. I mean, when you think about how many people were killed during, with the genocide of the American Indians, it's amazing that was even more than the Holocaust victims. It was between 1 and 114 million American Indians that were killed. And you have to keep in mind that the Holocaust killed between 6 and 11 million. So when you see things like this, and you see things like the quotes I read you from Sherman, you know that people are really haven't changed a whole lot. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about Google, which, Google is really out of control along with Facebook and other social medias. So if you think that they're not, let me tell you, they shifted in the 2018 election votes of a lot. Now sit down while you're listening to this. They shifted from red to blue about 78.2 million votes. That's a lot. That's a lot. And experts are predicting, they expect that they will shift 15 million for the 2020 election. Using heavy left bias, Google and others are rerouting and favoring left-leaning sites, which means if you look up Trump, it'll probably direct you to Trump's an animal, or Trump's, did something bad, or said poo or something. These tech companies have got to be held accountable in the same way that a news source such as a newspaper would be held accountable. So that if they say, so-and-so is a vampire, they can be sued. They need to be held accountable for what they do and how they're doing it. These people are the new book burners, which I've said over and over, and they're censors. It's like the government censors. I've noticed that my Hotmail account, which I have, they're censoring my mail. I've had they put it into the junk file, stuff that I've been looking at for years that's conservative content. Now they're putting it into my junk file, and I go back and I write not junk, and I move it to my inbox, and it's still happening. So let me tell you, it's on a very small scale, and it's on a very large scale. So you have to watch every single bit of it, because they're trying to help you, quote unquote, to lean left. And I don't need them to help me. Please don't help me. I've got this. I think I know what I want to read. I think I know who I am. I think I know what I believe. So, as I said, big data tech companies don't help me. Anyway, we're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back and talk about a couple other things you might find interesting. I'm Candace, your host on the Freedom Zone, and we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hello and welcome back to the Freedom Zone, where truth is set free, whether you like it or not. I'm your host, Candace, and I've got another little interesting point that I wanted to bring up to you. I think we all know and have heard much about Congressman Ilhan Omar. I've talked about her quite a lot here. But not only is she a sneaky little snot and one of the 4 pissants of the apocalypse with her AOC plus 3 group, Ilhan Omar is now touted, or alleged, however you like to look at it, as a man stealer, husband stealer, and every other bad name you can think of. However, apart from that, the Alabama GOP had voted in their summer session to have her outed from Congress and are putting together paperwork for that. Of course, she thought that was, I think she thought that was funny because she said she was voted in by the Minnesota people and not Alabama people. However, Alabama people know that we don't need anti-Semites in Congress. But going back to the man stealer, husband stealer part, if you notice the couple on the right side there, or left, depending on your point of view, it seems that Miss Omar has gotten involved with the man there as a married man, which personally, I think anybody who is married, male or female, and they start an affair and they just blatantly go into it and carry on, I have no use for them. I have no use for they have no character. They're the lowest of the low. And I mean, I know that sometimes you can get involved with somebody that doesn't mention a spouse, which is, a small point that needs to be brought up. But that doesn't mean, you knew about it when you started, and then you should cut it off when you find out. But just blatantly carrying on, knowing you're married to someone else, is something I can't condone. However, the couple, the lady's name is Dr. Beth Jordan Minette. She's a physician who says that her husband has had an affair with Ilhan Omar, and the reason for her divorce from her Democratic strategist husband, Tim Minette. Minette has worked with the former Congressman Keith Ellison, who is a fine, measure of character. The one that beat the girlfriend, drug her across the floor off the bed. Heck of a guy. And his successor, Representative Ilhan Omar. Dr. Minette said that she was shocked when he came claiming about the relationship with Omar and his declaration of love for her back in April of this year. doctor and her husband had been married in 2012. They'd lived together for 6 years prior to that, and they have a 13-year-old son together. Another byproduct and casualty of a marriage where somebody feels like they should have an affair is the child, because they don't know what to do. They love both of the parents, and it's just wrong. Rumors have been swirling about Minette and Omar when it was revealed that she had separated from her recent husband, the one that's not her brother, I think, and moved out of her family home in Minnesota into a swanky penthouse apartment. Isn't that nice? She's moving on up. And you know, Omar's marital history is a little bit out there. She had one man that she was married to in her faith tradition, which means in the mosque. These mosque marriages are not like what, it's kind of like, I don't know, some sort of commitment ceremony. It's not legal marriage, like you would go down to the courthouse and get your marriage certificate and be married. She had 2 children with this person. Then she allegedly separated from him and quickly and legally married a British national who appears to be her brother in a civil ceremony conducted by a Christian minister. Isn't that nice? So that means, in her religion, that means it's really void because it's not in their church. And they all lived at the same address. How cozy. Then she separated from her second husband, reunites with the first husband, files her taxes with him, has a 3rd child, and not until 2017 does Omar finally divorce her second husband and reunites with her first husband, but that was short-lived after she began the affair with Tim Minette. Okay, so this is, not only is this morally bankrupt, this is also a little bit illegal if some other alleged charges come up. She's dealing with possible IRS fraud, which the IRS is not someone that I would ever want to deal with. If I could possibly avoid it, I want to make sure everything's on the up and up. But she filed her taxes with the wrong husband, the right husband. I don't know. It's pretty complicated because she's really got a tangled web. And this is something that we need to understand about the religion of Islam. Their doctrine teaches that it's okay to do anything with anyone, to lie, to cheat, kill, whatever, to accomplish their ends, mostly which is converting people to Islam. Their doctrine is to replace your doctrine, whether you have to kill somebody to do it or not. This woman is out of control and she's sick. And I hope she's voted out in 2020 along with the other 3 pissants of the apocalypse, AOC, Tlaib, and Presley. The campaign law thing is serious, though, because it appears, even though she denies affair with this man, Minette, it appears that she has used campaign funds. The Federal Election Commission records reveal that the Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar's campaign paid thousands of dollars for travel expenses to a political consulting firm where a man she's been linked to romantically serves as a partner. What do you know? What a coincidence. According to one ethics watchdog, the Minnesota congressman may have violated campaign laws in the process of her love affair. She says that she paid out a little bit more than $21,547 to the E Street Group, which Tim Minette is a partner of, for travel expenses, quote unquote, since April, the same month that Minette allegedly admitted to his affair. And it seems that in the divorce filings, his wife says that his extensive, quote unquote, travel with Omar, she doesn't believe it's work-related. It says defendant, and that would be Tim Minette, more recent travel and long work hours now appear to be more related to his affair with Representative Omar than with his actual work commitments. And we believe that Representative Ilhan Omar may have touched the 3rd rail of campaign finance law, dispersing campaign funds for personal use. I'm sure that happens all the time. She's already gotten in hot water for other campaign finance problems where she previously filed improperly for using campaign money to file to Florida. Obviously, the consequences have not been severe enough for this young lady because, and I'm using that term loosely, because she's still at it. She denies the affair, but she's dumped her first husband and then, her second husband, and now she's back with the first husband and gone back and moved out now. So I mean, it's just like a spider web trying to figure out what this woman is up to. And I can tell you, personally, I don't know the woman, but it looks like no good to me. And I've been around people a long time, and it seems like to me that this affair, if the wife has figured it out, it's probably true. But of course, she denies it, and she also said that she would not put up with any questions about her personal life. I beg your pardon, ma'am. You're in the public sector, and you're in a goldfish bowl, and you think you've got a right to keep people from looking at your personal life, especially when you're using campaign money to do some of your personal things? No, there's none of us that are in the public view that get away with that. And I don't know who you think you are, as my mother used to say, but your life is going to be scrutinized as you live in your goldfish bowl, and so you might ought to be more, use a little more decorum to conduct yourself. At least that would be my opinion. So we'll move away from Miss Ilhan Omar, whose poor choices are not working out so well, it seems. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about today as we're getting ready to close up the show. I don't know about you, but I've about had a bait of everybody talking in the news about how we're this close to indicting this one or that close to indicting that one. I don't want to watch the news anymore if this is what we're going to talk about. Unless we talk about somebody such as Andrew McCabe, who right now is facing indictment. He's also suing to get his pension back from the FBI, even though he lied under oath. There's so much information on so many people that is so damning. It's so illegal. Lindsey Graham is sure that it's when the IG comes out with his report about all this stuff, and that's the Inspector General who's supposed to be, keeping his finger on the pulse of all this stuff, that it's going to be a basic poop storm, and I'm using poop instead of the other word, but when it all comes out, okay, that's great. I'm sick of hearing about it until I see somebody walking out like this. I want to see them in handcuffs. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, Comey's already dodged a bullet after he's run his mouth and told all kinds of things he should have never brought up, never told, leaked stuff, lied, was ambiguous, all these things that he's done. He's come out like, I'm a super patriot. No, you're just dumb, and you can't figure it out. He's not going to be prosecuted, even though it's been suggested that he should. As I said, Andrew McCabe is now working for CNN. They're all writing books, making big money off that. I'm sorry, it just seems like to me that your bad behavior is being rewarded with good things, which I don't agree with that. But I'm sick and tired of hearing about all of them until such a time as I see some of them indicted, and I see some of them in handcuffs, and I see some of them paying for what they've done. The kind of thing that they put poor Michael Flynn in jail for and bankrupted him for is nothing compared to the things these people have done, and they're getting away with it, and that's just not right. I mean, even after Comey admitted that he set Michael Flynn up, he still had to make a deal in order to not lose everything he had. He had to sell his house, and his career was ruined, and they threatened his son, that's what I have heard, but I'm tired of listening to it. So my advice to the IG, to Lindsey Graham, to anybody in the DOJ, and I really respect and I think Bill Barr is a great guy, and I'm sure he's doing his best, as well as John Durham and others. Let's poop or get off the pot, because these people should be indicted. They should be indicted to the nth degree of the law. And until that happens, we got to talk about something else, because I've really gotten bored with it. It's like a build up to a really, really great ending of a show, and then they're like, oh, well, we're not going to renew that show, so you're just going to have to be disappointed forever, because you don't. It's a cliffhanger, but we're never going to tell you what happened. And that's what I see happening here. I really believe that nothing's going to happen to these people, and the American people need to demand justice for this, because it's not right. If they don't become indicted, many of these people that I've mentioned, I don't see why we as American citizens have to follow the law, because obviously there's a two-tiered justice. If you're a somebody, you've got some money, then you get one set of rules. If you're like the rest of us, you get another. And I just can't swallow that as an American, and I demand that we see justice done in this Spygate, Russia crap, and every other thing they've come up with. It's time to do something or get off the pot. And as Americans, we're going to have to demand that happen. So we're ending another show, and I'm glad that you joined me today. I'm Candace, your host in the Freedom Zone, where we set the truth free, whether it pleases everybody or not, and we don't care. So please join us next week, and have a great Labor Day weekend. This is a holiday to celebrate the wonderful. Initially, it was the unions that brought in a lot of rights for the workers because they had none. Now the federal government has instituted all these laws, so luckily everybody gets a little bit better treatment than they used to, say, 100 years ago. So enjoy your holiday weekend and be safe, and come and join us next week. I'm your host, Candace. I'll see you then.